The economic impact is larger than expected. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I have my stein of coffee as always, and I thought we'd have a look at this article from the ABC because it discusses the fact that the economic impact from shutting down the entire economy and this virus is going to be bigger than Treasury expected. Okay. That's surprising. Let's have a look, guys. Treasury underestimated the illness like the rest of us, Freedom of Information documents showed. Okay, did we all underestimate it? I don't think everyone did. I think more of us were probably more concerned with just the state of the economy. We weren't believing everything that we were reading or presented in the media. Maybe we didn't all buy into this property to infinitum, you know? Up, up and away. Buzz Aldrin property always goes up, always goes up. Perhaps. And, well, I see this illness outbreak around the world, the pandemic, as a pin that is popping a bubble that was going to burst one way or another. What do you think, guys? 6 weeks ago, Treasury officials were estimating the illness outbreak was only going to dent Australia's economic growth in the first 3 months of the year before the economy rebounded. Wow. And these are the people that are making decisions about our economy. They're planning for the future of our civilization. Maybe this is why we're running out of potable water. Maybe this is why housing is so unaffordable. Maybe this is why they need to shut down the entire economy to mitigate this. But since then, a global pandemic has been declared. The Morrison government has announced the largest peacetime stimulus package in Australia's history. The Reserve Bank has stepped in to stop the financial system collapsing. Economists have warned of an unemployment rate jumping above 10%. Documents obtained under Freedom of Information by ABC News show how quickly the illness pandemic has overwhelmed Australian policymakers in recent weeks. The documents show that by the end of February, Treasury's best estimate of the impact of the yet-to-be-declared pandemic on Australia's economy was that it was going to shave 0.5 percentage points off GDP growth in the March quarter, and the economy would rebound in subsequent quarters. Well, I'm not really surprised that Treasury are making these estimates. I mean, Treasury and the Reserve Bank, and I get the feeling they have a bias for continuation of what's going. Treasury officials were still informing Treasurer Josh Frydenberg that the illness impact wouldn't be too big, though they emphasized their estimates were uncertain. On current information, the Treasury advised me that the illness could detract around 0.5 percentage point growth in the March quarter, and that some bounce back in growth is expected in subsequent quarters. So the draft statement prepared for Treasurer Josh Frydenberg by an unnamed official. Well, maybe these officials, these bureaucrats, need to be held accountable. Because here's the thing, guys. All these politicians, they're fed information by their bureaucrats. The bureaucrats base it on information they gather and provide. I mean, the validity and the rigor that some of these government agencies provide information, I've seen it's not really at the same standards of a lot of academic institutions. Just look at the cash ban. Look at the cash ban. Look at the methodology they use for public discourse. The fact that a few hundred people attending some town hall meetings could raise issues about people getting deals for cash, and then they use that as justification, or as part of their justification, to ban cash transactions over $10,000. Such a small number of people, 10 times that, wrote submissions in critical of it, but they were all dismissed as being paranoid. There you go. I guess this is why you need to be the noisy minority that makes the noise. Go to these events, actually partake and be involved, or else you're not going to get any action. I just had to open the door because I have a 2-year-old who is going crazy. Actually, no, a 1-year-old. How the low growth forecast rapidly shifted. The first recorded case of the illness in Australia occurred on January 25. Treasury's then estimate of a 0.5 percentage point hit to GDP in the March quarter was the same estimate used to justify the Morrison government's first stimulus package worth $17.6 billion, announced on March 12. Just 8 days later, Treasurer Frydenberg said the May budget would have to be delayed until at least October, admitting Treasury had no way of accurately forecasting the hit to the economy. There you go. It was the first time the federal budget had been delayed outside of an election since '75. So forecasting for budgets is difficult at the best of times, let alone when we're in the midst of a global pandemic, he said at the time. Remember, they're making policy decisions often on outdated data. That's just the challenge that they have. I understand the states are making similar arrangements, and it's important that we're able to deliver a budget at a time where there is more certainty about the economic environment. 2 days after that, on March 22, the government was forced to release a second stimulus package worth $66.1 billion, conceding the size and design of the first package wouldn't be enough to support businesses and workers when steps were being taken to deliberately close parts of the economy to prevent the virus spreading. Since then, the government has moved to put Australia's economy into a controlled hibernation, unveiling a $130 billion wage subsidy plan on March 30 to try to help Australian businesses and workers get through the next 6 months. Here's the question, everyone. What about after the next 6 months? Are they going to roll out another stimulus package, or are we going to start seeing the real hits to the economy after this hibernation period ends? Will they be able to have everything under control then? Maybe this will just be a perpetual roll-on of hibernations. I mean, it's MMT, guys. Just print money and give it to everyone, just like a 4-year-old. It'll all be good. It'll all be good. There won't be any ramifications. It'll all go back to normal exactly. In recent weeks, hundreds of thousands of Australians have lost their jobs and applied for the government's emergency job seeker payment, and 500,000 businesses have registered for the government's wage subsidy scheme in less than a week. So further economic contraction is inevitable. Economists say despite the size of the government stimulus package, worth $213 billion in total, Australia's economy will still suffer a huge contraction in the June quarter. The Reserve Bank Board met on Tuesday to discuss the state of the economy. Last month, it cut interest rates to the lowest level in history, 0.25%. Yes, so we can bring that up here. I mean, if you've done it all these other times, it's bound to work this time, isn't it? And began pumping billions of dollars into the economy by purchasing government bonds. Yes, and where do they get the money to do that? They generated it out of nothing, essentially. This is the problem, guys. This is destroying our purchasing power bit by bit. And this is future taxes that are indebted to the RBA. At the time, RBA Governor Philip Lowe said, while it was not possible to provide an updated set of forecasts for the economy, given the fluidity of the situation, it is likely that Australia will experience a very material contraction in economic activity, which will spread across the March and June quarters and potentially longer. So there we go, guys. There we have quite a drastic hit to the economy. And Treasury just doing, should we say, well, unsurprisingly, questionable. Well, the problem is all the information they get is going to be outdated. So they're going to be making these calls on outdated information. They're going to be making all these judgments on outdated information. But there's nothing new about that. That's the problem with all of this economic intervention into the market by our government. They are artificially trying to stimulate the market to make adjustments, and there's going to be repercussions, and there are going to be unintended consequences through all of this that we need to be aware of and prepared for. Because I would be surprised if everything simply switches right back to normal. So let's have a look at the key points. Treasury initially estimated the illness would shave 0.5% points off the March quarter. Now the economy is in a controlled hibernation. We'll see. but economists expect a huge contraction in the June quarter. And we saw earlier today just job adverts get hammered. Guys, once again, please let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. If you're a fan of the channel and want to support us, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or on Patreon for a small monthly fee. You can support the channel using our affiliate links at Amazon or eBay for your consumer purchases, or Independent Reserve and Kucoin for the crypto traders out there. We have merch you can get from the HeiseSays website, pocket squares that are handmade by Rachel, or mugs from Teespring. We also have PayPal if you want to make a donation that way, or Gold Pass if you want to send us gold. Thanks everyone, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.